appreciate all of you hanging out with us. And we just had what I think is a pretty interesting conversation with Sean Merriman there. And at the end of that discussion, he said something that I think is going to turn into potentially a really big story going forward. We now, at close to the midway point of the NFL season, we know a lot about the teams that are contenders. And I think certainly the two 5-0 teams that played in Nashville yesterday, the Titans and the Steelers, showed that they are, in fact, contenders. And it will be intriguing to see how things shake out with them. But we also know a lot of bad teams at this point. Teams that are not going to find themselves in contention to make the playoffs. And we can run through some of those teams. And I talked a little bit about this last week because I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be one of the greatest quarterback prizes of modern NFL history. And I have talked to a lot of different people out there who are quote-unquote quarterback gurus, and they say that he is going to project, based on all of his talents, as the highest level quarterback to enter the NFL since Andrew Luck. What does that mean? That means that effectively, if he stays healthy, he is a can't-miss prospect. We rarely say at the quarterback position, somebody is a can't-miss prospect. But barring injury, what people who have studied quarterbacks their entire lives will tell you is that Andrew Luck in the 21st century is the closest thing to a can't-miss quarterback prospect that there has been in the NFL. Now, Andrew Luck obviously had all sorts of injuries, decided to walk away from the game, but his on-the-field play was of unquestioned talent, and certainly his acumen coming out of Stanford, his speed, his athleticism, his ability to make every throw, his ability to see the field and what the defenses were throwing at him. It was all unparalleled if you talk to quarterback gurus. And obviously, Andrew Luck was highly sought after. The Colts were fortunate at that time. Peyton Manning had his injury. They ascended all the way to the number one pick, and they got him. All right, right now, the Jets are 0-7. They have been outscored by 118 points on the season. No one else is even remotely close. And you are starting to hear whispers of what Sean Merriman just said in our last interview, that a lot of people around the NFL are saying that the Jets are such a poorly run organization and there is so little trust in what they could accomplish that it's possible that Trevor Lawrence pulls an Eli Manning, that he pulls a John Elway, and he says, if you draft me, I will not play for you. Now, we haven't really seen this happen in a long time since Eli Manning, and refreshing people's knowledge. Sean Merriman obviously remembers this pretty well because at the time he was a San Diego Charger player, and the Chargers ended up having to trade Eli Manning's rights to the Giants. That went well for the Giants. Whatever you might think about Eli, he won 2 Super Bowls for the franchise, which if you draft a quarterback and he goes out there and wins 2 Super Bowls, regardless of where you draft him or what happens in any other year, that's a wildly successful quarterback. Eli, I believe, is without a doubt a Hall of Famer. He will be a Hall of Famer. 2 Super Bowls, that's what he's going to hang his hat on. It's hard to win 2 Super Bowls, okay? So, who's in the running right now in terms of being bad for Trevor Lawrence? Let's run through some of these scenarios. The Jets are 0-7. The Cincinnati Bengals are 1-5-1, but they are not really in the mix for Trevor Lawrence, obviously, because they already have Joe Burrow. Jacksonville, in theory, could be in the mix for Trevor Lawrence. They have now lost 6 games in a row since they went out and won the first game of the season against the Colts. So I think Jacksonville's squarely in the mix. I think the Jets are squarely in the mix. Denver doesn't seem like they'd be in the mix, even though I know they're sitting at 2-4 and Drew Lock has had health issues. Just doesn't feel like they're going to be able to make a move there. The Giants, it would seem surprising if they would go ahead and move on from Daniel Jones this soon. So it doesn't seem like the Giants are in the mix. The Vikings have so much money invested in Kirk Cousins. I don't really know if they could make the decision to go draft Trevor Lawrence. The Atlanta Falcons still have a lot of money invested in Matt Ryan, even though they're sitting at 1-6. So the reason why I mention this is there are two teams that really kind of stand out, and you think, okay, they'd probably make the move there to go get him. Jacksonville and the Jets. Now, the Jets are a little bit complicated still because they have Sam Darnold, and we don't really know what Sam Darnold's value might be on the open market, but it's kind of strange to go get a new playmaker at the quarterback position when you've only had Sam Darnold for 3 years. A little bit strange. There might be a market out there. Some people may see Sam Darnold as a Ryan Tannehill project, somebody that they could redeem. But I want to hit you with two teams that are now starting to post bad records. By the way, I should mention the Houston Texans are 1-6 as well, but they just gave Deshaun Watson $100 million. They're not in the mix, right? And so I think the teams that are in the mix that not a lot of people are talking about right now are two of the iconic franchises in the NFL. The New England Patriots are sitting now at 2-4. To start off this program, we talked about the incredible collapse we have seen in the New England Patriots since Tom Brady left. And I wonder on some level whether Belichick's team is going to fall far enough that he potentially could be able to put together a package to go get Trevor Lawrence, and I think that would be terrifying to a lot of NFL fans out there. The other one is the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys are in an incredibly interesting position now that they have fallen to 2-5. They are now in third place in the tiebreak. They lose to the Washington football team. The Dallas Cowboys approaching the halfway point on the season. Are they going to make the decision to give big money to Dak Prescott? I don't know. It seems risky given Dak's injury situation. And we know that New England has nothing invested dollars-wise in the quarterback position right now, with Cam Newton getting replaced by Jarrett Stidham. Cam Newton signed a one-year deal, and I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like right now Cam Newton doesn't have much left. And I talked about that in the first hour of the program, breaking down all the NFL activity. To be frank with you, I just don't see a lot coming and left from Cam Newton. If I am correct in that, then the Patriots have no expense at the quarterback position, and we know the Cowboys have no expense at the quarterback position. Could those teams try and put together a package if Trevor Lawrence says no to the Jets? Could the Jets, probably not, they're not going to trade to the Patriots because they don't want to give Trevor Lawrence in the division. But could that open the door? Cowboy fans out there listening to me right now that are like, man, this is the worst season ever. Could there be a little bit of a crack there for Jerry Jones and the Cowboys to wheel and deal their way, give up whatever high draft pick they are likely to have, and surge into the mix to be able to grab somebody at the very top of the draft board? It's worth thinking about, especially if Trevor Lawrence wants to play this aggressively. Now, Trevor Lawrence may come out and say, you know what, I'm not even willing to consider to sit out. I will play for whoever drafts me. We had this drama with Joe Burrow last year a little bit. Do you remember that? Where people said, oh, Joe Burrow should refuse to play for the Cincinnati Bengals. And then Joe Burrow just came out and said, no. You guys know the way this is set up. I am going to play for the team that drafts me. And then he went and did it. And look, there's a lot of reason for optimism with Joe Burrow, even though he's getting knocked all over the field. And we talked a little bit about that in the first hour of the program.